This is citizen Park Jeong. He's about to be a member of what older North Korean soldiers sometimes jokingly call the crybaby army of North Korea. That is boot camp, at 17 years old. He's recently graduated from high school. According to North Korean law, all able-bodied citizens of acceptable birth and who have finished high school must serve in the armed forces. Park is considered able-bodied because his health has been already secretly assessed twice at school by the local Military Mobilization Committee or MMC at ages 15 and 16. He is considered of acceptable birth and his family has no found records of rebellion. Conscription can be avoided if sick, being only child of a dependent family, or of continuing higher education before the 1990s famine. Being part of the army was a sign of prestige and a chance of a better career and stable food. Now, many around the country are willing to go to extreme lengths to avoid being drafted, as working elsewhere pays more. Consequently, it's common to fake being sick or to bribe the local MMC officials to look the other way. Often with a couple months of your wages, roughly $100. If caught, however, evading conscription results in up to a year's detention in a labor camp. Park is from a working-class family and he's physically fit. So, like the other boys in his class, he's enrolled in the Korean People's Army, ready to begin his 7 to 8 year stint as a member of the armed forces based on information acquired in 2021. The girls in his class are conscripted as well for 5-year terms. Park is sent off to join the Korean People's Army, which is divided into several branches. The Korean People's Army Ground Force, which is the conventional army. The Korean People's Navy and Korean People's Air Force, whose roles are self-explanatory. The Korean People's Strategic Force, which oversees the nation's arsenal of ballistic missiles, and the Korean People's Special Operations Force in total. The North Korean military is the fourth largest in the world with an estimated 1.3 million. Actively working, there's around 600,000 reservists as well as up to 5.7 million members of the Worker Peasant Red Guards, a paramilitary reserve militia. These numbers make North Korea one of the most heavily militarized nations on the planet, which is unsurprising, given the nation's defense-first policy. Park is first sent to boot camp or basic training. The process of turning the civilian into a soldier takes about 3 months, though other branches such as the Special Operations Force or Border Guards can take between 6 months and a year. While in boot camp, conditions are harsh with strict discipline and intensive training. Park and his fellow recruits are instructed on how to use their weapons, including target practice, long marches carrying heavy gear, and martial arts. Throughout all of this is constant indoctrination, something that continues for the rest of time in service. Service to the nation and its leadership is drilled into their heads. And self-sacrifice for the betterment of North Korea is highly emphasized. In some ways, Park's life has improved somewhat since joining the military. For decades, North Korea has been subject to chronic food shortages, even today. It's not uncommon for the poorer members of society to go hungry, and missing meals happens regularly. Those in boot camp, however, are given 3 meals per day. In theory, at least for those of low-RAS backgrounds, service may be the best way to fill their bellies. After boot camp, Park is given his ID and makes his oath of allegiance. Park is assigned to the Korean People's Ground Force, the largest of the branches. Park has issued his weapon, the Type 88 assault rifle. This weapon is part of the Kalashnikov line of firearms. More specifically is the North Korean-produced variant of the AK-74 chambered in 545 by 39 millimeters. The Type 88 comes in several variants. The original Type 88 has a fixed wooden stock. The Type 88-1 has a side-folding stock and the updated Type 88-2 has a top-folding steel stock. It's fed by a 30-round magazine, though the Type 88-2 can come equipped with a 75-round helical magazine. Other weapons that are still in use by North Korea are the Type 68, a copy of the AKM, and the Type 58, which is a clone of the original, AK-47 Type 3, as well as non-AK weapons such as the SKS, the PPSH-1, and the RPG-7, or a North Korean or Chinese copy of these Soviet weapons. Park has also issued his uniform, which is designed to blend in with the temperate climate of the Korean peninsula. The official designation is uncertain, but the pattern is similar to the South Korean woodland pattern uniform, which itself is based on the M81 woodland uniform used by the United States from 1981 until the mid-200s. It was actually so similar to the South Korean variant that the South Koreans updated their uniforms to a digital L pattern to avoid confusion. North Korea spends a tremendous amount on their military. About a quarter of the nation's gross domestic product go in towards defense spending. This may seem like a lot, but North Korea's economy is so sluggish that this translates between 7 and 11 billion annually. To compare, South Korea spends 48 billion a year, the US around 1 trillion. Because of the lack of resources, most of North Korea's equipment is aging and in poor condition, with much of the stockpiles outdated and in disrepair, much of which is Soviet or Chinese in origin. There are even reports that North Korea still employs Soviet T-34s tanks, which were used during the Second World War. Like most of North Korea's military, Park is stationed in the south of the country near the DMZ that separates it from South Korea, a divider that's easily the most heavily defended and monitored border in the world. While there, he and the rest of his units stand ready to either defend North Korea against South Korea and their American allies, or sweep over the DMZ and unite the Korean peninsula under a single banner. A typical day involves waking up at 5:40 a.m. running and push-ups until 6:10 a.m. a quick soapy wash in a nearby river, breakfast at 6:40 a.m. with small portions of corn, vegetables and cereal or rice. Then roll call, more training, shooting exercises, lunch, weapon cleaning, more training until finally resting from 5:40 p.m. after dinner. Soldiers can play sports, card games, and smoke. Laundry is usually done once a week. Evening roll calls take place at 8 o'clock a.m. and sleep at 9 p.m. during May, June, October, and November. Soldiers are expected to work on farms or construction, though they're comparatively well-fed compared to much of the country. They may not get the 3 meals a day that they're supposed to, though North Korea has not fought a war since the 1950s. There is still a chance that Private Park will be sent to a war zone. North Korean troops had been sent to further North Korean ambitions on a global scale, including the Vietnam War, the Yom Kippur War, and various conflicts in Africa. Though the details of these events are difficult to confirm since North Korea is one of the least transparent nations on the planet, most recently, in addition to weapons and munitions, North Korean soldiers have been sent to Russia to aid that nation in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. There is a tremendous amount of controversy about the role of these troops, whether they're active in combat, are engineers working in rear areas, or are simply observers and advisors. For Park Jeong, he often dreams about escaping to a better life. Discipline is harsh in North Korea, especially in the military. Even the slightest infraction can result in severe punishments. Recently, a pair of soldiers faced harsh disciplinary action for simply referring to South Korea by an alternative form of their name, which implied that the South Korean government is legitimate. Others who have tried to escape have faced up to 5 years of imprisonment, where they'll be subjected to hard labor, regular beatings, limited sleep and medical attention, and inadequate food. North Korea also has a 3-generation rule. Any crime committed will carry on through 3 generations of the family, even if Park manages to escape. His family will face the consequences for his actions, something he will not allow to happen. Resigned, Park simply accepts his fate and continues on with the hard labor, poor food, and strict treatment. Just one soldier of many in service to the hermit kingdom, music.